A dark and moody cityscape at night, with a lone vigilante standing watch over the glowing streets below, embodying the tension and danger lurking in every corner. Introduction. Gotham City, a sprawling metropolis of shadows, was suffocating under a thick blanket of fear. Corruption had seeped into every corner, from the highest towers to the deepest alleys. But amidst the darkness, there was hope. A masked vigilante, known to most only as Batman, had emerged as the city's guardian. His mission? To rid Gotham of the filth that sought to control it, to restore order where chaos thrived, and to protect those who could not protect themselves. The beginning. Gotham was a city of contrast. Gleaming skyscrapers reflected the sunlight during the day, but when night fell, they became black towers, casting long shadows over the streets below. Crime festered in these shadows, and one man, Bruce Wayne, knew that better than anyone. Bruce had been a child when he witnessed the brutal murder of his parents, Thomas and Martha Wayne, in Crime Alley. That moment shattered his life, but it also shaped his destiny. Orphaned and left to inherit a vast fortune, Bruce vowed to dedicate his life to ensuring no other child would suffer what he had. He would make Gotham a safer place, no matter the cost. Years of intense training followed. Bruce traveled the world, studying with masters of combat, criminology, and stealth. He honed his mind and body to perfection. When he returned to Gotham, he was no longer just Bruce Wayne, the billionaire playboy. He was something more. He had become Batman. At first, Batman operated in the shadows, a figure of legend whispered about among Gotham's criminals. But as his presence grew, so did the fear in the hearts of Gotham's underworld. Batman's crusade was relentless, targeting mob bosses, corrupt officials, and petty criminals alike. He was a symbol of justice, but he was also a man haunted by his own demons. A gritty alleyway where a vigilante faces a criminal in a tense standoff, set against the vibrant glow of neon lights in the city's darkened streets. The rise of the Bat. As Batman's reputation spread, so did the list of his enemies. Gotham's rogues gallery grew with each criminal he brought down. Some of these enemies were ordinary men, like the crime lord Carmine Falcone, but others were far from it. There was the grotesque Penguin, who ran Gotham's underworld from his iceberg lounge, and the Riddler, a man obsessed with riddles and proving his intellectual superiority over Batman. But it was the Joker who would become Batman's greatest nemesis. A psychopathic clown with a sadistic sense of humor, the Joker reveled in chaos and destruction. He saw Batman not as an enemy, but as the perfect foil to his own madness. The Joker's crimes were always unpredictable, his motives inscrutable. He didn't want money or power, he wanted to watch the world burn. Despite the overwhelming odds, Batman never wavered. He had allies in his fight: Alfred Pennyworth, his trusted butler and confidant, Lucius Fox, the brilliant inventor behind much of Batman's technology, and James Gordon, one of the few honest cops in Gotham. Together, they formed a small but dedicated team determined to save Gotham from itself. But as the years went on, Batman's war against crime took its toll. He was only human, after all. Bruises, broken bones, and scars began to accumulate. The weight of the city's expectations rested heavily on his shoulders. Could one man truly save an entire city? The fall. It was the arrival of Bane that pushed Batman to his limits. Bane was no ordinary criminal. He was a man of immense strength, both physical and mental. Born in a prison, Bane had grown up in the harshest conditions imaginable, learning to fight and survive through sheer willpower. But what made Bane truly dangerous was his intellect. He was a strategist, always 10 steps ahead of his enemies. Bane had watched Batman from the shadows, studying his every move, learning his weaknesses. When he finally made his move, it was devastating. Bane did what no other villain had ever been able to do: he broke the Bat. One fateful night, Bane lured Batman into a trap. In a brutal fight, Bane shattered Batman's back, leaving him crippled and helpless. Gotham was left without its protector, and Bane seized control of the city, plunging it into chaos. The criminals Batman had fought so hard to keep in check now ruled the streets. In a brutal confrontation, a vigilante is overwhelmed by a towering opponent in a grim, industrial space, symbolizing the physical and mental challenges faced. Bruce Wayne was broken in body and spirit. For the first time in his life, he questioned whether his crusade had been worth it. Was Gotham beyond saving? Was Batman nothing more than a symbol of false hope? But even as he lay in darkness, Bruce found strength. He remembered why he had become Batman in the first place, not out of revenge, but out of love for the city and its people. With the help of his allies, Bruce began the slow process of healing. His body mended, and his spirit reignited. Gotham needed him, and he would not let it fall. The return. Batman's return to Gotham was met with mixed reactions. The people had begun to lose faith in their hero, while the criminals who had risen in his absence believed they were untouchable. But they were wrong. Batman was back, and this time, he was more determined than ever. One by one, he dismantled Bane's empire. With the help of Gordon and the police, Batman retook control of Gotham's streets. But his ultimate confrontation with Bane was inevitable. The two met once again, this time in a final showdown. Though Bane was as powerful as ever, Batman had learned from his previous defeat. He outmaneuvered Bane, using both his physical prowess and his intellect to bring the behemoth down. The fall of Bane signaled a turning point for Gotham. For the first time in years, there was a sense of hope. The criminals who had once ruled the streets were now in retreat, and the people of Gotham began to believe that their city could be saved. But Batman knew that his war was far from over. There would always be new threats, new villains to challenge him. The Joker was still out there, plotting his next move. And Gotham itself, a city built on corruption, would always be a breeding ground for crime. A legacy of shadows. As the years passed, Batman's legend only grew. He became more than just a man, he became a symbol. Gotham's criminals feared him, while its citizens revered him. But Bruce Wayne never lost sight of who he was beneath the mask. He was still the boy who had lost his parents, still the man determined to make a difference. But even Batman could not fight forever. Age and time were catching up to him, and he knew that one day, he would have to pass the mantle to someone else. The question was, who? Over the years, Bruce had trained several protégés: Dick Grayson, the first Robin, who had gone on to become Nightwing; Jason Todd, the second Robin, who had tragically been killed by the Joker; and Tim Drake, the third Robin, who had proven to be a brilliant detective in his own right. Each of them had been shaped by Bruce, but none could truly replace Batman. In his final days as Gotham's protector, Bruce Wayne reflected on his legacy. He had sacrificed everything for the city: his wealth, his health, and even his happiness. But in doing so, he had given Gotham something it desperately needed: hope. Batman would always be a part of Gotham, even if Bruce Wayne was no longer the one wearing the mask. The city would endure, and so would the legend of the Dark Knight. A new dawn. Gotham stood at a crossroads. With Batman's influence still looming large, crime had been pushed back, but it was never fully eradicated. New villains rose to challenge the peace, and once again, the citizens looked to the shadows for salvation. But this time, it was not Bruce Wayne who answered the call. In the wake of his retirement, a new generation of heroes emerged. Dick Grayson, now fully grown and having established himself as Nightwing, returned to Gotham to pick up where his mentor had left off. He was joined by Barbara Gordon, the brilliant hacker and former Batgirl, who had adopted the mantle of Oracle. Together, they formed a new team to defend Gotham, a symbol that Batman's legacy was far from over. Gotham's criminals soon learned that the absence of Bruce Wayne did not mean the absence of justice. The Dark Knight's spirit lived on in those he had trained, and the city would continue to be protected. The bat signal lights up the Gotham night sky, casting a beacon of hope over the city's skyline, marking the return of its hero. The Joker, always lurking in the background, saw this as an opportunity. He hatched a plot more sinister than ever before, one that would challenge not only the new protectors of Gotham but the very soul of the city. His attacks became more dangerous, more unpredictable, pushing the new heroes to their limits. But Gotham had changed. It was no longer a city waiting to be saved, it was a city fighting for itself. The people, inspired by Batman's legacy, stood up against the corruption and crime. The streets once filled with fear were now filled with hope. And as the new heroes fought to maintain the peace, they realized that Batman had never been just one man. He had been an idea, a symbol of resistance against the darkness. As long as Gotham had people willing to fight for it, Batman would never truly be gone. Conclusion. Gotham, the city of shadows, had always been a place of danger and fear. But it had also become a place of hope, thanks to one man's unwavering dedication to justice. Bruce Wayne had given everything to the city, but in return, he had inspired generations of heroes who would continue his work. Gotham's citizens unite against chaos, standing firm in defiance of masked criminals, symbolizing the city's resilience and hope for a better future. As the bat signal shone brightly in the night sky, Gotham knew that no matter how dark the night became, the light of the Dark Knight would always guide them.